Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, October 21st. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, a massive card, 15 games in the NHL on this Saturday. Just a huge slate, and looking forward to breaking it down as usual. We will just quickly, for 1 minute or so, talk last night. New Jersey tried to fumble that game away and give it away a million times last night, but eventually they end up getting the 4-3 overtime win, or 5-4, I should say, overtime win against the Islanders. What a night for Jack Hughes. 4-point night, including the overtime winner. And New Jersey, the effort was great. In fact, they outplayed the Islanders. It would have been really a shame for them not to win that game. They did, and a nice 5-4 victory for them over the Islanders in that one. And credit to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Very, very good performance in a victory over the Calgary Flames. A really nice night in net for Spencer Martin as well. So credit to Columbus for that. Again, we strike with a big-time plus-price player prop. That's a tongue twister. But yeah, Luke Hughes for New Jersey, plus 825 to score a goal, plus 405 power play point, which we mentioned on the show yesterday. And this is my new sweet spot with player props. And I'm going to mention a bunch of these today. Defensemen playing on the power play, especially the first power play unit. That's now twice in the last 3 days we've hit with some of these defensemen. It was Jake Sanderson with Ottawa on Wednesday night. It was Luke Hughes last night with New Jersey. And there's going to be some I mention on this massive Saturday card that I think are going to provide terrific opportunities as far as defensemen shoot the puck a lot, gotten some points early in the season, so they have some offensive confidence, and they're going to be playing on that number one power play unit. So a lot of good props in that regard to look forward to today as well. Alex, quick thoughts on last night, and then we'll get into this massive Saturday slate.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had my notes mixed up yesterday because the high-scoring affair was that Islanders and Devils game, and we said that the Devils could bring that offense out of the Islanders. It's just whether they could respond with the counterpunch. They certainly did, even though they didn't get the win. But 5-4 is certainly not a final you would expect too often in the Islanders games. Like you said, they'd rather be playing those 1-0, 2-1 battles and get into a 5-4 overtime kind of a track meet. So I'm sure they'll try to look to get back into their ways. And that Calgary Columbus game, I know some people said, Calgary played terrible. No, Spencer Martin played his ass off last night. I thought he was phenomenal. 36 saves. It's his first win in his last 12 starts. And maybe he's the guy now who has a new lease on life. We talked about all the guys getting out of Columbus. Here's a guy who showed up Columbus, and maybe he started to look pretty good. So that could be a little diamond in the rough for them if he can be a formidable backup to Merzlikins. And as Merzlikins, if he's playing better than we've seen him in the last 2-3 seasons, that might be a formidable tandem, one to not really sneeze at with that Blue Jackets goaltender.
No, I think people forget when he first went to Vancouver and got those opportunities, he played well. It was after that he started to struggle. I guess the league got a little bit more of a book on what to expect from him, as far as his tendencies, his style in net. So that ended up playing into some of his struggles. But no struggles last night for Spencer Martin. He was phenomenal in between the pipes, no question about that. We got a huge slate, 15 games. We're looking forward to it. Let's get right into it. We're going to start with a game that's going to have the puck dropped at about 1 p.m. Eastern. Detroit Red Wings, Ottawa Senators. Ottawa minus 155, home favorite, 6.5 the total here in this game. I mean, if you've been watching this show all season long, you know damn well what I'm doing here. Ottawa team total over 3.5. Detroit and Ottawa over 6.5. I mean, it's just the gift that keeps on giving for the Ottawa Senators, especially when they play at home. They go over their team total, and so does the game. It's been a repeated occurrence this year. Every home game here during this homestand for the Ottawa Senators, the Philadelphia game, the Tampa Bay game, the Washington game, the other night, Ottawa scores at least 5 goals in all 3 games. They win all 3 games, and the game goes over the total. So very, very straightforward betting decisions here for me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This team on offense is rolling right now, Ottawa. They've got so many different players that are playing well. Kachuk's had a great start. Vladdy Tarasenko, I think goal and assist props are worth a look today. He's been on fire the last couple games for Ottawa. It goes without saying, Batherson's capable. We know what they're getting up front. Giroux even chipped in the other night. It is a great performance. Matthew Joseph, who almost cashed a big bargain bin for us the other night. I wouldn't shy away from taking a shot with him again today in this game. Josh Norris, what a return. 2 goals in his return the other night. He's back and healthy again, which is huge. So there's definitely a lot of ways you can go about it. I see someone in the chat posting a Senators and over 5.5 combo at plus 120. That's not bad at all. So I do think Ottawa will win this game. I'm not as sure about the Ottawa win, just because I think Detroit is a scary opponent for them here. There's some things that work well in Detroit's favor. Their offense has been pretty good. They shut out Columbus, put up a 4 spot on the aforementioned Spencer Martin, who played very well last night against Calgary. And then, of course, they have a big offensive night against Pittsburgh on Wednesday night, that national TV game. And you've got the Alex DeBrincat storyline. Playing his old team, the Ottawa Senators, things did not end well between him and the Ottawa Senators. There was some, turbulence there, some hard feelings, some, just things didn't pan out there last year. It not a great fit, and it didn't end well. There was some, rumblings of some turbulence and some bad feelings, like I said, between the upper management, the front office, and DeBrincat. So this is probably a game where DeBrincat's not only in good form to begin the year, but he's going to want to play well. So to me, you got to look at a DeBrincat goal and an assist prop, or you can do the point prop, but the goal and the assist prop, you're probably going to be better doing that because that point prop's juiced. So DeBrincat, to get a goal, to get an assist, I think that's definitely worth a look. And I'm coming back to the well with our guy here on the blue line for Ottawa, Jake Sanderson. He's again on the power play unit. Now, I know his goal didn't come on the power play when we cashed that plus 700 with him to score on Wednesday night against Washington. That was an even strength goal. But still, when you're playing as a defenseman on the number 1 power play unit, it means you're getting more ice time. When you get more ice time, it means you're in better rhythm. And when you're in better rhythm, you're a more dangerous player, especially offensively. And when you're a more dangerous player offensively, you've got a better chance of scoring. So it's like a reverberating effect for someone like Jake Sanderson, who's got the ice time, who's been elevated in the lineup, who's deserved it because he's been outstanding so far this year. He's plus 750 at Caesars to score a goal. The assist prop is a great look, plus 175 as well. So it's a really nice prop game here. And like I said, Tarasenko goal and assist, he's rolling. I think it's going to be a high volume, high event game, not just in terms of goals, but shots on goal. Kachuk's been a shots on goal machine. DeBrincat's going to be shooting the puck left and right. He's going to want to do damage against his former team. Those are 2 shots on goal props that definitely stand out to me. You could go with Larkin as well. His volume of shots has been up so far, but especially DeBrincat and Tkachuk. These 2 guys have really been shooting the puck here early in the season. So it's a really nice prop game here as well with the Wings and Sens to get the day started. Alex, what do you think here, Detroit, Ottawa?
Yeah, this is one that, with it being on, it'll be on while we're still on the air. I'm probably going to be betting this live. I'm looking toward that first period total and maybe even the full game if we can get it down to a 5.5 range. But I can see the offense kind of going back and forth here. Detroit's not a pushover of a team. And like you said, they have enough offensively. They're like an upgraded offense of the Islanders, right? They don't have that kind of goaltending, but they have that kind of offense where, they like to play physical and kind of, slow things down and just possess the puck. But if you draw them into the fight, get that offense rolling, they can trade with you. I think they can actually trade with you better than a team like the Islanders. So Ottawa, Detroit over, but we want to get live looks at better numbers and prices.
All right, looking at live looks here is Alex for Detroit and Ottawa. All right, Anaheim, Arizona. This is also a day game. It's the only other day game taking place afternoon, a matchup. And the home opener for the Arizona Coyotes as they return to the Mullet Arena for the first time this season. Minus 190. How about that? And I like this Arizona team this year, but minus 190. This is not the day to keep that Arizona love going, in my opinion. Total 6.5 here in this game. Look, Arizona's better this year. There's no question. You see it even in the losses. You see the compete level. You see they're competitive. They're right in pretty much every game that they have played this year. They have a big bounce back win against St. Louis, 6-2 to finish that road trip. What I like about Arizona is the blue line's improved. The goaltending from Karel Vejmelka and Connor Ingram is good enough. So far this year, they've played solid. And then up front, I just think they're a lot more dangerous. You've got the mix of youth with Keller and Hayton and Logan Cooley, the first-round pick, Matthias Michelli in his second year. You've got that nice blend of those young core forwards that you're going to build around for the next decade. And you've sprinkled in some veteran presences. Like I said, Kerfoot, Zucker, Dumba on the back end. I like what Bill Armstrong, the GM, has done here with Arizona. And there's no doubt they're a better hockey team. Sean Durzee's been we'll get to Sean Durzi, trust me. Sean Durzi is worth talking about here because his props are off the charts, value filled for this game right here. But when you look at Anaheim, Arizona, Arizona off the road trip, they did have a great home record last year. They did. They actually turned Mullet Arena, into a big-time home ice advantage last year, even though it's that little rinky-dink barn. Not many people there as far as attendance goes, but they turned it into an advantage with the crowd right on them. It was, you could at least hear the people that were there were loud. So, you look at that environment, it gave them a boost. Now, this is a brand new season. Let's see if the road teams have adjusted to playing in this place as well. Is that home ice advantage going to be as strong? And even with Arizona improved, and even with that strong home record they had last year, I'm not sure I'm ready to take Arizona at minus 190. In fact, I know I'm not. I'm going to sprinkle a little on Anaheim here. Quack, 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 quack. I am going to look here a little bit at the Anaheim Ducks here in this game. It's just, to me, I like what – look, I don't want to make too much of a big deal about it because we don't talk about it much, but strength of schedule should be talked about a little bit. And when you look at what the Anaheim Ducks have played in their first few games, Vegas, the defending Stanley Cup champions, on the road, Carolina in a back-to-back the very next night. And then, of course, they played Dallas after that. That's about as tough of 3 teams as you could face to start a season. I mean, those are all really, really good teams. These have been playoff teams the last few years, all 3 of them. So Anaheim has cut their teeth on very good competition here to begin this season in their first 3 games. And they came out of it 1-2. 4-1 loss to Vegas was, a tough way to start, but they beat Carolina. I thought they were toe-to-toe with Dallas. In fact, they outshot Dallas 29-24, despite the 3-2 loss the other night. So, when I look at this matchup here, Arizona is going to have to prove to me that they deserve this price tag, minus 190. They have to prove to me they can be as good as at home as they were last year. I think the value is on the Anaheim side here, plus 160, especially when you look at that strength of schedule and the 3 really tough teams they played this season to begin Anaheim. And then as far as props go, this is actually a fun game. Last year, 2 years ago, I want no part of watching Anaheim, Arizona. I'll be truthful. But right now, these are 2 teams with good young talent. There's no question about it. Cooley, a goal and assist prop. I think Cooley's he's so close to getting that first goal. It could be here, the first home game. But his assist props have been cashing. You could go in that direction. Clayton Keller's been offensively dynamic to begin the year. Asking him to score a goal is not asking a lot right now. He's been really solid. On the Anaheim side, look, Leo Carlsson getting his first NHL goal in his first NHL game. He didn't look out of place. Him to get a goal and an assist, good consideration in my opinion there, if you want to go in that direction. And the ones that really stand out, there's 2 defensemen playing on the number 1 power play units for their respective teams. And I think both of them have prop value. For Anaheim, it's this 19-year-old kid, and he's manning the power play, the first power play, and he's 19. Pavel Mintyukov, man, he has looked very solid. He has gotten 2 points, a goal and an assist in the last 2 games. He's getting that trust from Greg Cronin. He's playing 18 minutes a night, number 1 power play unit. If you want to sprinkle on Mintyukov to maybe make some noise here. Now, unfortunately, I don't see power play points props. That's a bad job by the books. I mean, you got to know, that he's up on the power play unit. Give us some fucking power play props here. They're asleep at the wheel here.
Yeah.
Mintyukov. They also probably don't want to get burned by people like me. So,
Well, and I was going to say, and then if they offer that and they're paying that much attention, you're not getting that much value on the goals or the assists that if they're listed as well too. So I've been seeing that lately these last couple of days with the player props, and there's like, oh, looking for this guy because he's moved up. But yeah, it's kind of a good thing, bad thing that they're not paying full attention because you're getting probably you might be getting plus 500 on somebody and where it go down to 350 if they realize he's on a power play.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And so that Pavel Mintyukov, though, he is plus 13. His goal prop is up there. He does have a goal in the 3 games so far. 13-1. How about a plus 1,300 and him to score a goal? How's that for a big plus price if it hits? But, just put a couple bucks on it. That's all I'll be doing. It's not like it's Great chance of happening. But look, the guy's shooting the puck and he's on the power play, the top unit for Anaheim. And then you flip it around to Sean Durzi, who is the number one power play unit quarterback from the blue line on Arizona's power play. And here's a guy that's shooting the puck a lot. Here's a guy that's producing early in the season. You could go with his point prop at plus 110. You could go with Durzi to score plus 650 like I did in the last game, and he did score for Arizona against St. Louis. The assist prop at plus 160 for Durzi, and the power play point prop at plus 330. So outstanding value for Sean Durzi here. Shooting the puck a lot, playing a lot. He's playing over 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, as well for this Arizona Coyotes team. You look at the ice time, 29 minutes, 23 minutes, 22 minutes. He's shot the puck. He's actually had how many shots so far? 12 in the first 4 games. 3 points in the first 4 games. Goal and an assist for him in that 6-2 win against St. Louis. So here's another value prop involving a defenseman quarterbacking the number one power play unit. So those are some props I like. A little small shot here on Anaheim, plus 160 as well. Maybe this over. I get the feeling I might split up the over with the first period over as well in this game, simply because you'd expect Arizona to be really fired up out of the chute, for the first period of the first home game of the year. Good pace probably early in the game, and we might see ourselves get to that first period over. Again, you might want to look at this as a spot where you want to wait a little bit because it's minus 150 on that right now. But definitely have my eye on that, and it feels like you might be better off taking the Alex approach here. Wait a couple minutes, see if you can get a better number with not only the first period over, but maybe that first that full game over as well. Alex, what do you think here? Anaheim, Arizona.
Yeah, if you're a family plan member, you probably just got a notification right now saying exactly what I'm going to do with this game. Ducks, Coyotes, first period over. Going to wait about 2 or 3 minutes. Try to get that first period down to at least. We should be able to get even money, I feel like. But $1.10 pick'em range is essentially whenever I post anything that's $1.10 to plus money. Just you want to shoot for pick'em range. So you don't have to nitpick over 110 to 105 necessarily. 120, 130. Those are where you want to make your own judgments, and we try to be a little bit more steadfast on that rule. But anything in the pick'em range, I count that as 115 to plus 105. Anything in that range, fire on that. But yeah, it's an interesting game, and to see the Coyotes at minus 190, I'm like, what is Teppo Numminen and Jeremy Roenick on the power play, and you got Hobby Bullen started in that. I can't remember the last time the Coyotes were minus 190. It's got to be like 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah,
honestly, it's been a long time. Yeah, so I get
Bullen was more like 20 years ago, honestly.
Oh yeah, he was. But I'm just saying, just the team, just 190 next to the Coyotes. We're talking back when they went to the playoffs.
Dave Tippett, Mike Smith, that team that went to the conference finals, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a very long time. This is foreign territory for Arizona, and I get it. They're back home, a daytime start, which I think is actually great. I criticize teams like Ottawa having a daytime home opener last weekend, but I get it was for TV purposes. Here's a perfect spot, right? Arizona State, you're on the campus. Use what you have to your advantage. I think that's going to be a rocking building. I think there's going to be pace back and forth. So I would look at that full game over as well. So might be trying to grab that at a little bit of a better price while we grab that first period over. But I could see goals back and forth here. By the way, that first period over 9-2 the last 11 meetings. So yeah, if I had to play a side, no way I'm laying 190. And you got to lay a price now with them in regulation too. So if I had to play a side, it'd be Anaheim. But I like the totals here a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it pains me to go against Arizona, but sometimes you have to bet numbers, not teams. And, minus 190 when I've got an Anaheim team that's done nothing wrong so far this year, that's played 3 very tough opponents out of the gate, Vegas, Carolina, and Dallas, and played them all very tough. The Vegas game kind of got away from them, but even then it was 4-1. It's not like they were completely crushed. And then they beat Carolina on the back-to-back, returning home. And then, of course, I thought you'll watch that game with the eye test, Dallas-Anaheim the other night. You'd be hard-pressed to say who the better team was. That really is how well Anaheim played against Dallas the other night. So, like I say, I just think the price now a little bit inflated on Arizona. Now is a nice price, a nice spot to maybe take a shot going against them. All right, the rest of the games are tonight. Toronto and Tampa Bay. This is another one we've had a lot of these already this year, these playoff rematch games. And here's another one. The Leafs minus 135, road favorites, 7 being the total here in this game. man, these Tampa Bay games continue to just end up getting. Here's the tricky part, though, with these Tampa games. Now the total's up to 7. You're going to need 8 goals, but most of these Tampa Bay games are getting to at least 7. Tampa Bay, Nashville, 5-3. Detroit, Tampa Bay was 6-4. Ottawa, Tampa was 5-2. Tampa Bay, 4-3 over Vancouver the other night. The only game that stayed under for Tampa Bay was the game that they played against, I think it was Buffalo. 3-2 Buffalo in overtime. And even that game, there were a bunch of chances. Could have went over the total. So, again, Tampa Bay is one of those teams right now, and I think John Cooper realizes it. Team realizes it. If we're going to win games, we got to score goals. We got to help out Jonas Johansson and this defense, which to me, the blue line in the bottom 6 is not as sturdy in terms of defending and defensive ability as they've been in the past. It's Tampa Bay, obviously, looking to avenge the first-round exit at the hands of Toronto last year, but that angle has not been working as well as you would think, as far as betting on the team that's in playoff revenge here. On the flip side, you've got the Leafs, who all of a sudden, the last 2 losses for the Leafs against Chicago and Florida, who would have thought we'd say the offense would be the problem for Toronto? But that's the case. 1 goal against both the Blackhawks and the Panthers. They've had chances, but the puck just wasn't going in for them. You know, if you look at the expected goals numbers for Toronto the last 2 games, they were still there in both games against Chicago and Florida. Puck just didn't go in. Now you're facing a Lightning team that, look, for the most part, they've been surrendering goals, you know, and they have been doing it quite a bit. I mean, they've given up 3 goals to their opponent in at least in every game this year. Now it's going to take 4 for Toronto here for the team total, but I do like the team total here for the Leafs. You know, that's my strongest stance here is the Toronto team total over 3.5 minus 120. Johansson is confirmed in net for the Tampa Bay Lightning here tonight in this game. Ilya Samsonov confirmed for the Toronto Maple Leafs here in this game. It was a very quiet night from the top players of the Leafs against Florida, specifically Nylander and Matthews. So you would expect those 2 guys, as far as player props go, might be worth a look here tonight in this game. I'm sticking to the script here as well with assuming he's still on the second line. Let me just double check. Yes, he is with Tavares and Nylander. Matthew Nyes hit the post the other night. That close I was to the bargain bin special that night with the Leafs and Panthers on Thursday night. So I'm coming back to the well with Matthew Nyes here as far as getting a goal and finding the back of the net here for the Leafs. I would wait for a 6.5 at a better number, better price. That's the way I'm going to start approaching it with these 7s where I lean over the totals. Just wait for the 6.5 to pop up and at a better number and a better price and go from there. So just pregame for me, Toronto team total over 3.5 plus, as I mentioned, some of those props. Alex, Leafs and light.
Yeah, I'm keeping it simple with this game. I went Toronto regulation plus 105. I played that yesterday. Like I said, they just need to get things rolling, and I think playing against Tampa Bay, I don't see where this is going to be a lot of the revenge factor here. You know, like I said, that playoff series was more of Toronto getting that monkey off their back. I could see where they might even be more energized to go, hey, remember, this is where the launching pad kind of, took off. This is where we have to kind of pick up from. We won that first round series, but in due time, we'll have to get further. We got to, kind of recant and recall what we did in that moment, right? That was their biggest moment of the season, was winning that playoff series against this team. So if they can capture some of that magic tonight, get back on track, I think this is a good get back spot for Toronto. And Tampa Bay, like I said, you just can't trust them. They're so flighty. Even in the wins that they have, nothing's clean, nothing's crisp. And obviously that's something you can say about Toronto as well. They don't really do things as clean and narrow as they always would like to. But I think here could be the game where they get things back on track. So plus 105 in regulation. It's a smaller play than the rest of my looks today. But I am on Toronto.
All right, Toronto in regulation here for Alex in this one. And as far as throw out a couple Tampa Bay. Hedman's been collecting points. I could go in that direction for sure as far as his player prop. How about Nick Paul? And Nick Paul's a Toronto killer. That's something to point out too. Nick Paul scored again the other night against Vancouver. You talk about someone that's undervalued, Nick Paul. And again, he's done damage against the Leafs. In fact, he has done big damage in the playoffs against the Leafs. The last 2 years they met in the first round, and there's Nick Paul scoring a big goal for the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So definitely liking the Nick Paul props here as well. As far as value, that's definitely what stands out here for me in this one. Stamkos, has been very good too when he's been on the ice, when he wasn't missing games due to injury. He's been definitely noticeable, and his props are always going to be worth a look for one very simple reason. He is playing for a contract. He was not at all impressed and amused by Tampa Bay, just basically ignoring any discussions with him in the offseason as far as contract negotiations. So, that's a motivated Steven Stamkos right now to have a big season. All right, the New York Islanders and Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo minus 125, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. So finally, the superhuman Ilya Sorokin does not look it in one game, and sure enough, the Islanders lose. That tells you all you need to know, right? I mean, if Sorokin is going to have an off night, and look, it's not so much he had an off night. New Jersey, some of those shots were terrific. Screen shots through traffic, brilliantly placed. Those Jack Hughes goals were spectacular. I'm not sure many goalies would have stopped some of those. But it tells you when the Islanders finally cave in a little bit defensively, they lose. And that's simple as that. And we saw it again last night against the Devils. Back-to-back situation for the Islanders, and obviously for the first time this year, Sorokin gets a rest. Semyon Varlamov is going to be in net for the Islanders. Of course, Devin Levi has started every game, and we've talked ad nauseum about the situation there. He's obviously had a tougher start, and they've been forcing him into action every game, but they can't put him in tonight because he's day-to-day with an injury right now. So as a result, no Levi tonight. Probably would have played, honestly, the way this Buffalo's been going with their goaltending this year if he was healthy, but he's not. So it's Eric Comrie who is going to get his first start of the season for the Buffalo Sabres. And to be honest with you, one of his best outings last year for Buffalo came against the Islanders. He shut him out last year. Eric Comrie did 2-0 in a Buffalo victory last year. So definitely I look at this as a situation where Comrie's actually got probably a little bit of confidence here coming into this game, taking on the Islanders, knowing he played phenomenally well against them last year in a shutout victory. I like Buffalo here. Bounce back situation for them coming in off the loss they had against the Calgary Flames on Thursday night. Islanders on a back-to-back here. No Sorokin, no Islanders for me. That's what it's going to be like all season long for me. He's just such a huge component of why they win games, bailing them out time and time again. I like Buffalo here. Rested team. Comrie did well last year against the Islanders. So Buffalo minus 125. I'm telling you what, this total now, 6.5. Buffalo, I can see why their total is 6.5. For the Islanders, though, although I should say New Jersey got them out of their comfort zone, right? New Jersey got them got the Islanders in some penalty trouble last night. No question about that. And that took the Islanders out of their game, and they have to chase the game and they have to open up the game. And that's not the Islanders' way of winning games. It's not how the Islanders want to win games or play. They don't want to be in the chase position. So that's what was great about that game for New Jersey. They had the lead, and it forced the Islanders to play a style they don't want to, and that's what ended up being a big reason why the Devils were able to win. And that's the key for Buffalo tonight. Pounce on this team that played last night, get the first goal, and force them to have to chase the game, because that's when the Islanders are vulnerable. When the Islanders score first and they get the lead on you, it's like that spider with the tentacles. They just grip it right around your neck and just try to shut the game down completely when they have a lead. So that's critical for success this year when you play this Islanders team. Get the first goal, get them in penalty trouble. New Jersey didn't get they did actually get the first goal last night, and just right from the get-go, the Islanders were chasing the game. That's got to be your approach, and that's got to be your plan and your strategy here tonight if you're Buffalo. What do you think here, Alex? Islanders, Sabres?
Yeah, I was able to grab an over 6, and some of these Saturday numbers. I'll have to start playing the Friday overnights, and I'll try and get those out a little bit, because some of these Saturdays, I've noticed that even last week we've seen these line moves, these 6 to 6.5, 6.5 to 7s, and we're not really getting that kind of movement even with the overnights during the week for whatever reason. So glad I got over 6. I would say wait and grab a better adjusted price in game for that total. As far as the side goes, I'm really torn, because normally Buffalo, at least let's say 2 weeks ago, if you told me I was going to only lay $1.25 against the Islanders with them not playing the start of Sorokin, I would have been all over Buffalo in this spot. But like you said, you got Eric Comrie here, and it's unfortunate. I didn't hear that Levi got banged up until you just said it. That's very unfortunate. Like I said, the fact of running a young goalie like that, you take those kind of risks. Could be with anybody, obviously, but just just such a bad look with the way that they're handling everything. So now you're stuck with your 2 and 3 options. Here's Comrie tonight. Like I said, he has played well against the Islanders historically, but I take that with enough salt to make popcorn taste pretty good. So I'm going with the over here. I got 6. If you can't get it now, like I said, everything's 6.5. Wait for this to drop down. You should be able to get 5.5, maybe laying $1.20, $1.25, and I would say go from there.
Right. And then for props in this game, look, Brocktober is alive and well. Brock Nelson. Didn't I mention? I did. I mentioned Brock Nelson yesterday in that game against the Devils. I mean, he has just been absolutely outstanding. He's always the one guy I trust to actually score consistently on this Islanders team. And, of course, he has the 2 goals. I'll say this, Bo Horvat finally woke up. 2 goals from him last night. He's a streaky player. Maybe you ride it tonight with him because he's one of those players that, he won't score for 7-8 games in a row, and then he'll score 2 in one game, and he'll kind of get on a mini short-term hot streak. Maybe that's going to be the case here for Horvat moving forward. But on the Buffalo side, Tage Thompson finally scored against Calgary, plus 150 to score tonight. I think that could get him going. Rich H., our good friend in the chat, mentioned Cousins. Yeah, Cousins' point prop is even money. That's always value with that guy. You could always find value with his point prop, Dylan Cousins, simply because the guy works his fucking tail off every game. That guy doesn't take a night off. He doesn't take a shift off. And that absolutely matters when you're talking about player props and consistency in those with player props is someone that is going to have a good game most nights that he is on the ice, and that's certainly Dylan Cousins. Dobson and Dahlin, we've got another good case of 2 blue liners that are manning these power play units, the top power play unit. They've been shooting a lot. Dobson's been an assist guy. Dahlin hasn't really gotten it going yet fully for the Sabres this season, but I like what I saw the last game, 2 points, 2 assists for him against Calgary. He hasn't scored yet, so I'd shy away maybe a little bit from the goal prop on Dahlin, but certainly the assist prop at minus 125. Pretty good look there. He has definitely been setting up things for his teammates here the last couple of games. All right, Washington and Montreal. We've got Washington minus 120, road favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. Washington has definitely got some issues. They're 1-2, and really they could and should be 0-3. If not for Calgary failing to close the deal and Calgary failing to extend the lead against Washington earlier this week, Washington would be a winless hockey team right now. Because aside from, the second period of that Calgary game where they did outplay the Flames, you could say every other period they've been atrocious this season. All 3 periods against Pittsburgh, they were awful. All 3 periods against Ottawa the other night in that 6-1 loss, they were awful. This is not a team I'm laying a price with on the road. No chance that is happening. The question becomes, do we trust Montreal? Because the Canadiens here coming into this game, it's 1-2, defensively inept so far this season. 5 goals allowed to the Minnesota Wild the other night. 6-5 loss to Toronto. The one game where they actually were decent defensively was against Chicago. They gave up 30 shots. Chicago hasn't been great offensively their last couple of games. So keep that in mind. But Montreal's got issues on the back. And what really sucks for Montreal, too, is Caden Gooley is injured again. And I hope this doesn't become a case of, injury-plagued career, because he had an injury last year. He ends up blocking a shot, I believe, against Minnesota, gets injured, although it was an upper body injury for him. He's day-to-day, may not play tonight. And he's a really good young defenseman for them. And what I also don't love about this game in terms of backing Montreal, I actually did take Montreal, but I kept it extremely small. Very, very small bet here for me with this Montreal team tonight. What I don't like is Jake Allen in net. And Jake Allen last year didn't have a great year. Jake Allen didn't look great in preseason for the Montreal Canadiens. And in his one start this year, opening night of the regular season against Toronto, allows 5 goals to the Leafs in that game. So Jake Allen is not exactly a goaltender we have great, confidence in right now. So did grab a small piece of Montreal plus 100. Actually, it's funny with the total here, 6.5. Pinnacle had a 6 over minus 120 earlier this morning. I grabbed it over 6 minus 120. Most books have 6.5 now. And the concern is Washington's offense hasn't gotten going for the most part this year. But man, they should be able to find some offensive success here against this Canadiens team tonight. So over 6 minus 120, and also a small shot on Montreal plus 100 here in this one. Alex, how about you? Caps, Habs.
Only thing I'm looking at here is a very small look at Alexander Ovechkin over half for power play points at plus 150. I think he gets a goal, and I think that's probably the cheapest way to try to grab it these days. I'm seeing 150 for him to score as well, so he can go either way. I think he does something on the power play, though, tonight. So I'm going with a little bit more value in that aspect. Can't trust either one of these teams. Washington's awful. Like you said, Montreal with Jake Allen is not that great of a team. Jake Allen, seemingly playing his way toward Europe. So it's a stay away game from the side, even a stay away game from the total. I just like Ovechkin to do something. So goal or power play point, you can flip a coin and pick it. It's pretty much the same price at most of the books. So I got it plus $1.50 for a power play point.
All right, Vancouver and Florida. We've got the Florida Panthers minus 150 home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. Oh, by the way, in terms of the Montreal game, couple of props here on the Montreal. Caulfield goes without saying. No doubt. I mean, he is definitely someone that every game he's been a threat to score for Montreal. Harvey Pinard still has value because he's still on the top line for them. And I'll throw out Alex Newhook, who really has played solid since going to that number 2 center spot for the Montreal Canadiens. All right, Vancouver, Florida. Glutton for punishment, maybe, but yeah, I'm back on Vancouver, man. Plus 130. Look, for Florida, give them credit. They beat New Jersey. Took it to them for their first win of the year. Nice workmanlike win. Bobrovsky was very good, by the way, against Toronto. Probably his best regular season start of the year for the Panthers, 3-1. But Vancouver, look, they played Tampa. And they played a much better game. It was anybody's game. They lost 4-3. Philly was a no-show. But now you really got a team that's really, really going to hopefully show that urgency here tonight to get that first win on this road trip here. Against a Florida team, look, coming off a game against a rival, a team they've got playoff history with. I don't mind the price here, Vancouver plus 130. But more than that, there's some props that I really like here in this game, both sides. If you look at Florida here going into this game, Sam Reinhart to score a goal and over shots on goal, you got to take it because he's just been ringing up the register with shots on goal. Same with Evan Rodriguez. He's been playing on the top line for Florida. He has been absolutely firing that puck. And over shots on goal too, and still just 2.5. They haven't really adjusted it. Rodriguez, Reinhart are good looks as far as props go from the Florida side of things in this game. And look, we've criticized him. He didn't have a good year. This is why he got bought out by the Vancouver Canucks, but now he gets to face his old team. And now as a member of the Florida Panthers, our guy, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Oliver Lawson Tossum here. And there was a great quote talking about the buyout. He said, I was shocked by it. I did not expect it. It really hurt. Yeah, he actually used that phrase. Yeah, that it really hurt and it really stung. So definitely that's something that would concern you here about Vancouver is that you've got Ekman-Larsson really trying to really show something here. And if you actually look, Ekman-Larsson, the last game against Toronto, I saw a big-time improvement. He scored a goal, actually, in the win against the Leafs. He's had 4, 7, 10, 11 shots on goal in the 4 games so far, 3+ shots in 3 of the 4 games, 11 shots on goal total, a goal and an assist for him from the blue line in the last 2 games. He's playing on the number 1 power play unit. Again, this is becoming a theme. Defenseman playing the number 1 power play unit, quarterbacking it with no Ekblad and no Montour. That role has fallen to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, quarterbacking that number 1 power play unit for the Florida Panthers right now on the blue line. So let's roll with the trifecta here for Ekman-Larsson in this game. Keep these small and volatile. We don't know if he's going to find the back of the net like he did against Toronto, but you're talking about extreme motivation, team that cut him loose, the Vancouver Canucks, and now he wants to play a hell of a game against them. No, there's no one that wouldn't want to play a great game against Vancouver in Oliver Ekman-Larsson's shoes today. He was cut loose unceremoniously. And yeah, he didn't play well last year, but I think he's also motivated to play better. And look, he had a couple of bad games at the beginning of the year, but I think he's gotten progressively better these last 2 games, which were also victories for Florida. So you can find Oliver Ekman-Larsson to get a goal at plus 850 at FanDuel, plus 170 to get an assist. Most books have it around that price, and a little shekel or 2 on the power play point prop as well, which you can find as high as plus 285 with Ekman-Larsson today. So a great angle, and you could tell he was really, really really hurt by it. You could tell there was some hurt in his words talking about how Vancouver bought him out and just let him go. And you can tell that stings still to this day. It resonates. And watch Ekman-Larsson go out there and probably want to really have one heck of a hockey game tonight. What do you think here, Alex? Canucks and Panthers.
Yeah, that's a great angle, and definitely shop around because I find it very interesting. I'm looking at Caesars, a book that normally has generous goal props. They got him at plus 225, whereas FanDuel has
Really?
850. So yeah, so
Wow.
I don't, and I think that's maybe because I don't know. I
Oh,
can't
yeah,
even
you're
try
right. I
to
see
justify.
BetStamp. Yeah, Caesars plus
Right.
225.
So
FanDuel's got plus 850. That's why you
and
got to have
everywhere else is
multiple
like
books,
6 to 1.
folks, right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, 6 to 1 at MGM, which I was looking at, but yeah, 850 at FanDuel. So I'm gonna take a shot at that, but I'm also gonna take a shot at him to get a point plus 115. I got that at MGM as well. I think that's a great angle, and that's probably the only thing I would even look toward in this game. I don't. This is more of an observation game for me, especially for Florida. And even Vancouver, like I said, this road trip, I want to see them if they can just continuously try to get back on that role of playing, more up tempo, dominating the pace. And I'm waiting for the bottom to kind of completely drop at Florida too, right? Even though this is a good spot to fade the minus 150, but I need to just see more from Vancouver, and I need to see a little bit more in the bad way for Florida. I'm waiting for that Florida team to regress. If they have a big bad night here, and people are thinking they're going to bounce back in the next game, that might be the time to start fading them, and we can see Florida get on a little bit of a losing streak.
Yeah, no doubt. Besser as well for Vancouver. He's been rolling to begin the year. I like Besser, goal and assist again. That has been a good go-to for me for the Vancouver Canucks. Pedersen as well, goal and an assist. I find when they're off a couple of losses, who's going to respond? Pedersen will respond. Besser's off to a good start. I wouldn't even talk anyone out of Miller. I think it feels like a JT Miller step-up spot as well. And then, like I said, for Florida, Reinhart, Rodriguez are undervalued. And like I said, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, revenge game for him against the Vancouver Canucks. Rich H., I agree with everything you're saying, man. He couldn't keep up in Vancouver last year. He was abysmal. He was abysmal. This is not, Vancouver made a mistake. And it's not like Oliver is saying that
Right.
Vancouver made a mistake, because I think he knows he sucked last year. I really believe deep down he knows, but you're still hurting as a player when someone just casts you aside and says, you're not good enough to be on this team anymore. That's the point he's trying to make. He probably knows it was warranted, but you're still hurt inside, when you see that. And that's not something that he ever expected in his career, considering what a overall really good career he's had, especially the earlier days in Arizona. But you don't expect something like that, and it hurts. And
Yeah.
you still want to kick that team's butt when you play them, and I'm sure he will tonight. He'll want to tonight.
Yeah, his career really cratered in the
Yeah.
span of 3 or 4 years.
Quickly.
This is a guy. Yeah. So like I said, he's still got and he's got some fight left. And keep in mind with Florida, of course, having the issues and injuries on the blue line, he's got a more prominent role in the spot. Now things will change once everybody's back and healthy, I'm sure. But yeah, but for right now, he's in a good spot. And like I said, and if he can rally that emotion and energy, so be it.
No doubt. All right, Philadelphia and Dallas. We've got Dallas minus 250, home favorite, 6 the total here in this one. Now, this of all the games on the card today is one I didn't do much with. Didn't do much with the side, didn't do anything with the total, didn't really do anything with player props either, quite honestly, in this game. I'm waiting for the likes of Marchment and Wyatt Johnston to get going a bit for Dallas, but they've gotten off to slow starts. And I don't love the value enough with their bigger their top players like Hintz and Pavelski and Ben and Sagan. So it's not a game I really did much with side total or player props. I will say this: Dallas is coming home off a few games on the road, and this Philly team has been feisty. They've been working. They have been the effort's been supreme. And credit to John Tortorella for getting it out of this hockey team. Now, this reminds me of the way they started last year, where they had a solid record to start. That work ethic was off the charts, and then injuries mounted. Teams didn't take Philly as lightly anymore because they had a decent start, and that's when the losses started to happen, and eventually the offense dried up as well. But I want to see signs of that before I just, let's take the better team here, because we know Dallas is the better team, but Philly is playing with the work ethic alone, that even though they're outmanned most nights, they can still win. Like they showed it against Edmonton. Will beat skill. The will for Philadelphia crushed the will of Edmonton the other night. And that's why they won that hockey game. And that's why will beat skill really is a legitimate, phrase, and it's prophetic a lot of times. So that's the key here. Dallas is focused. Dallas plays their best. They'll win. But if they're sloughing off, after a couple of games on the road, and if they're a little lackadaisical, and Philly works, brings that lunch pail effort the way they have in most of their games this year, then Philly can go in there and win. That's the way it is. So for me, though, pass on this one. Anything for you, Alex? Philly, Dallas.
I was trying to refresh the YouTube feed, and there's ads popping up. That's good to see. So I like the Dallas here in the first period. And looking back in this history between these two teams, Dallas has won 6 straight. Here are the first period scores: Dallas 2-0, Dallas 2-1, Dallas 1-0, Dallas 1-0, Dallas 2-0, and Dallas 1-0. So give me the first period puck line there, and I'm also going to go with that first period over. Based on the angle, like you said, with Dallas coming back home, bit of a rough spot, but they're playing a Philly team that's not going to just completely lay down and roll over to them. There should be goals both ways here early. So maybe even look at both teams to score prop as well, but going to lay that $1.25 with the first period over, and also going to take Dallas to cover the puck line, get out of that first period with the lead.
Yeah, and it does look like apparently we've got Scott Wedgwood for Dallas, Samuel Ersson making his first start of the season for Philly. So it is a battle of the backups. And a lot of times we rush to overs when we see that. I don't know. I don't think I can do it with Philly, though. Philly just really wants to play that. And look, they got Edmonton into their lower scoring, battle in the mud, if you will, the other night against Edmonton, a very obviously gifted offensive team. So Philly is going to want to slow things down like they always do. So it's going to be very interesting to see, if the Philadelphia Flyers can get Dallas to play their way. That's going to end up being the big question here. But Ersson and Wedgwood, and by the way, I didn't mention it in the Vancouver game, Casey DeSmith giving Thatcher Demko a night off tonight. And I don't mind that about Vancouver in that game. Casey DeSmith played excellent for Vancouver in the previous start that he made this year in Edmonton when they beat the Oilers. So as far as props, like I say, not much here for this game. I would say the one guy that's really stood out here, 2 guys for the Flyers are Konechny and Farabee. They're not bad options. Like I said, as far as Dallas, I think I'm waiting for their value players or their depth players to step up. They haven't done that yet in terms of Johnston and Marchment in particular. They've been quiet to begin the year. All right, Pittsburgh and St. Louis. We've got Pittsburgh minus 155, road favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. When you look at this matchup here, Penguins and Blues, Penguins off a game they want to be better than against Detroit. That was not a good showing from them. And finally, we saw the Penguins look defensively like how I thought they might look for a lot of this season. They struggled against Detroit, caught out of position, and Detroit made them pay for it. That's what I expect to see really from Pittsburgh this season. I expect to see more defensive issues than offensive. They should be able to score goals. St. Louis, kind of the same thing against Arizona. Finally, we saw that team give up goals. I find that these are 2 long in the tooth teams as far as the blue line is concerned. You look at the average age of these blue liners, you got older players like Letang and Ruedel and Carlson on the Pittsburgh side. You've got, it's a bag of bones. It's an old bag of bones on the St. Louis blue line too. My goodness. Leddy has been around forever. Falk has been around forever. Even Colton Parayko is not a young 30 years old anymore. He has been around a very long time. So it's a very aging blue line. Krug now isn't a young man anymore, and he's had a bunch of injuries too for not only the Bruins, but the Blues since he's been there. So these are 2 aging blue lines that have issues containing speed sometimes. And that would bother me here a little bit in this matchup here with Pittsburgh and St. Louis. For me, this is a little bit of a look to the over here, 6.5 in this game. Projected both teams to be below average defensive teams. Hasn't exactly shown that way in every game that they've played this year, but the last game for Pittsburgh, it did against Detroit. The last game for St. Louis, it did against Arizona. So I think definitely you could see this one get up and over the total. And it's not a bad call from our guy in the chat here, the Philly fan, Philly Eagle Flyer, saying first period, both teams to score in this game. I could see it absolutely in this Penguins and Blues game. Goaltending, we've got Jordan Binnington back in net, and he's been really good. But now he's been out of his rhythm, because they gave the last start to Hofer, and now I don't know. I think at some point Binnington's not going to have a good night. This might be it. And for Pittsburgh, we'd expect Tristan Jarry to be in between the pipes tonight for the Penguins. But again, that is not confirmed as of yet. So for me, over 6.5. I was looking maybe to take Pittsburgh, but not at this price, -155. So I left that alone. What do you think here, Alex? Penguins, Blues.
Yeah, the only thing I'll be looking at here would be that both teams to score. And I was just trying to check and get a good price on that. I know MGM's got booked with one of those, but yeah, like I said, aging blue line, and that's a great point. I talked about that with Pittsburgh, but yeah, the Blues are right there in that spot, and that's not a good thing to have when you have a streaky goaltender like a Jordan Bennington. Like I said, yeah, if he's hot, that's fine. You can deal with it and manage. But when he gets cold and you need those blue liners to step up, block more shots, put their body in front of things, they're just not going to be able to do that. And even if they are willing to sacrifice the body, you worry about them getting hit so damn often and taking so many shots. All of a sudden, the injuries mount, they get worn down. Neither one of these teams have much depth in the AHL either if they suffer injuries. Something else we've highlighted with these two clubs. So an overlook makes sense, but I'm just going to keep it simple here on a big card. I'm just going to go with both teams to score in the first period.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a couple games where, first period, both teams to score looks somewhat appealing. This game that's about to start, I could see Detroit and Ottawa being one of those first period, both teams to score, maybe worth a sprinkle. Anaheim, Arizona, too, because I think there's going to be good pace early in that game. And this one, definitely Pittsburgh, St. Louis, could definitely see both teams finding the back of the net early in that game. As far as props go, I do want to circle back quickly on player props in this one. Evgeny Malkin's on fire to begin this season. And when he's one of those players that, if he's feeling it, you ride it. I mean, he's got 7 points in the last 3 games, 3 goals and 4 assists in the last 3 games for Evgeny Malkin. So Malkin goal, Malkin assist. Why not? I mean, he's absolutely rolling right now for Pittsburgh at this point in time. I think he's probably their best forward right now offensively at this point in time. And then on the St. Louis side of the equation, it looks like, by the way, they're going to get they got a boost as far as injuries are concerned. They got it looks like Buchnevich might be back for this game tonight. So keep that in mind. He didn't play the other night, but that's good. Any help they can get up front, St. Louis, they'll take it. So we might see the returning Pavel Buchnevich tonight up front for the St. Louis Blues here in this game. And Tristan Jarry, we expect to start, even though it hasn't been named. Good point by Jarek. He's dominated. He's owned the Blues. Terrific track record against them. We'll see if that can continue here tonight. Let's see if it can continue with this, again, this patchwork defense in front of them. That's going to be the big question. All right, Columbus, Minnesota. We've got the Wild -220 home favorite, 6 the total in this game. I can't believe I'm saying it, but Minnesota, man, they've been cashing some overs here early in the season. It's been pretty wild, no pun intended, to say that about Minnesota. They have been, we think of them as the team that scuffles a little bit offensively. That's not been the case. 3 goals against LA, 5 against Montreal, 4 against Toronto. The power play, has been a little bit better as well. You know what I find about Minnesota? They got a lot more younger players now finally in the lineup and on this team. After years and years of, your older guys like your Dumbas and your Ryan Suiters when he was here, and there was older players. And of course you had Mikko Koivu all those years, and it would be more of a plodding team, and the team speed element of Minnesota just wasn't there compared to other teams. Well, now you've got all of a sudden, the likes of Marco Rossi, and you've got now this young kid, Sam Walker's in there, Sammy Walker, Connor Dewar. You got at least a little bit more speed up front, a little bit more proficiency from your bottom 6. And I think that's played a big role in Minnesota, scoring a bit more. But defensively, they've had their issues. And when you look at the blue line, it probably goes back to Jared Spurgeon being out. I'm telling you, Jared Spurgeon, I think we've talked about this, Alex, for a couple of seasons on this show with Spurgeon, where when he's out of the lineup, all of a sudden defensively, they're not the same, and they're giving up goals, and their games are going over the total. And it's kind of like the same thing here without Spurgeon to begin the season. And when you look at that blue line, Faber is struggling a bit in his own end. He's been very good offensively, but, he's still trying to learn how to be an adept, I should say, NHL defender in his own end. Still a work in progress for a very young guy like that. And after Brodin, you've got some question marks as far as the depth you've got on that blue line right now for the Minnesota Wild. Middleton is not the greatest skater. You've got, basically Dakota Mermis and John Merrill, who are, they are what they are. They're average defensemen. And there's going to be some opportunities for the opponent to take advantage of that. No Spurgeon and a little lack of depth, quality depth on the Minnesota back end right now. And LA certainly did that, right? 7 goals the other night against the Minnesota Wild. It looks like tonight in this game, we should see Philip Gustafsson back in net for the Wild. I'd be stunned if he wasn't. Merzlikins, now he supposed to start yesterday, but they decided to give him another day off because he had the injury situation or the illness situation. And they give him another day, and he's back tonight in net for the Jackets. We expect it to be Gustafsson. Matt Boldy, by the way, is also out again for the Minnesota Wild. And Patrick Laine, who took a pretty hard elbow at the end of that game, and the Columbus was none too happy about it. Eric Goodbranson went after Rasmus Anderson for it at the end of that game last night, but Laine took a really big elbow, and he's already been ruled out for this game tonight against Minnesota. This is one where I bet a small over just because Minnesota's trending that way. And then I see Dean Evason. What would you expect a coach to say after getting beaten down 7-3 like Minnesota was by LA? Wouldn't you expect him to say something like, hey, we got to tidy it up defensively. We got to play better in our own end. We need better goaltending, and basically talk about how you need to be better defensively. Do you know what he actually said after practice? He said, we have to generate more. He's actually talking about offense. He's talking about, so they just gave up 7 goals against LA, and here's Minnesota, and here he is talking about we need to generate more scoring and more chances. I don't know if that should be your number one priority right now, Dean, after a game like that against LA, but maybe his priority too is the offense right now with this Minnesota team. Who knows? But that's a bizarre quote coming off a game where you give up 7 to the LA Kings, and your greatest concern is we got to generate more chances and more offense. That was a bizarre quote from Dean Evason. Let's put it that way. So I'm on over 6 here. Minnesota's been going that way. Ride with it until proven otherwise. Alex, what do you think here? Jackets, Wild.
Okay, got my unmute button. There we go. Yeah, that is an interesting quote from Dean Evason, and maybe that's his way of trying to say, hey, let's take the pressure off the defense. They're having some issues. Like I said, they're missing Spurgeon. He made a bad call by going back to Fleury instead of going to Gus in the last game. So now it's just like, okay, I think that's more of that quote. That's a deflection quote. That's not. I don't think that's verbatim. I think that's more deflection than anything else. The way he's specifying that. There's a lot of things I like in this game tonight, and they're Wild centric. One thing I will be saving for later on in the portion of this program, but for right now, I will talk about the regulation draw. And this is something that I've been on for quite a while with these two teams playing. And I looked back at the history last night. 16 of the last 31 meetings have gone past regulation. Also, some of the other notes, 3 of the last 5 at the Excel Center and 3 of the last 4 overall have gone to overtime or a shootout. So at plus 390, which I was able to grab at Bet Online, I saw 370s last night. So I got a little bit of both of those. Definitely going with the draw here. Like I said, this could be one of those games where the game opens up, goes back and forth. I could easily see this being 3-3 or 4-4 after 60 minutes going in OT. So with that also being said, looking toward that over as well of 6, might wait and grab a little 5.5 at a cheat, just get a better number, not necessarily looking for a better price in game. And like I said, there's a couple of player props that I like. I know, Ian, you're about to touch on those.
All right, good stuff. I like a lot of what you said there. And I'll be honest, I didn't mention it because I wanted Alex to talk about it first because I'm only on it because he mentioned it yesterday to me. I'm on that draw as well. I got plus 404 at Pinnacle with the draw. What an incredible price. I mean, it breaks my heart that the U.S. folks can't use Pinnacle. It's just all the prices are so good, especially, and the draw, we talked about it last year. All the draws I bet primarily were at Pinnacle. They were always like 30, 40 cents better, than a lot of the other books with the draw prices. So a great price there, and does feel like it's a very competitive, close game, no doubt, with these two teams tonight, Columbus and Minnesota. As far as props go for this game tonight, not as many here. It's last night I was expecting a little more pop offensively from the Jackets. I would say if you're going to look at Columbus props, Marchenko has gotten to bump up the lineup, and especially now with Laine out for Columbus, someone's going to have to really the slack here offensively for this team. Marchenko is going to have to be one. Boone Jenner, the captain's going to have to be someone else that does it as well. So there's some value in their props. Cole Sillinger, I knew someone was moving up. Cole Sillinger is moving up. Number 2 center tonight, it looks like, for Columbus in this game between Fantilli and Tessier on that second line. So there's value with his props now because of that. So absolutely worth a look there as far as the player props go involving Sillinger now moving up to that second line center spot. I think for Minnesota too, Kaprizov is not value, but he's going to probably find the back of the net for Minnesota. It's a good chance of that. He's been much better the last 2 games. He's feeling it again. I wouldn't try to outthink things. I do think Sammy Walker did have an opportunity and value the other night, but after one game, it looks like Dean Evason's banished him to the 4th line. So that tells you right there that I don't think he was happy with some other elements of his game, probably away from the puck the other night against the Los Angeles Kings. So that takes away some starts. You got to get the ice time, if you're going to be trusted to contribute offensively. All right, here we go. Finally, the last team to make their debut at home this year and play their first home game of the season, the Chicago Blackhawks, hosting the defending Stanley Cup champion, Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas minus 235 road favorite, 6 the total in this game. If this was another upper echelon team, one that just wasn't finding ways to win and battling through defensive injuries and still winning games and not showing any signs of letdowns and lackadaisical efforts and playing down to their competition, we've seen none of that from Vegas here. If this was any other team, I'd really be interested in Chicago tonight. In this spot, home opener, fired up, and they will be fired up. And certainly teams in their home opener have done quite well this year. If you look at this week, if you bet the teams that are playing in their home opener, you're doing well. The home opener angle it's not like it's an angle we talk about year in and year out, but this year it kind of feels like the home opener teams have really, really performed well throughout the course of the season. So we'll see if Chicago can further that, but man, what a tall task it is for them against this Golden Knights team. What a start for them. It's just been workmanlike. It's been terrific, 5-0. It's been a little bit of everything for them where they've been scoring goals. They've been great defensively, airtight again, and the goaltending has been terrific most nights, mostly from Aiden Hill. But how about the night that Logan Thompson had against Winnipeg the other night? He played excellent in that game, and he wants to play well. He's fired up to play well, because of the fact that this is a guy, that is trying to get more starts for this Vegas Golden Knights team. It looks like as far as injuries go for Vegas, we always have to monitor this. They've had multiple cluster injuries on the blue line. It looks like for this game tonight, Martinez, by the way, came back the last game, which was good to see. Pietrangelo did not. He's still day-to-day. There is a chance Alex Pietrangelo is back, but as of right now, we're looking at McNabb, Theodore, Martinez, Haig, Hutton, and Braden Pahal on the blue line here for Vegas. And that 4 lines that they've got, Barbashev, Eichel, Marchessault, Cotter, Stevenson, Stone, Howden, I should say, Carlson, Amadio, and then Carrier, Nicholas Waugh, and Keegan Colasar. All 4 lines are just great at both ends. They can all contribute at both ends of the ice. Very deep team, as we know. Going to be a tall order for Chicago. I was tempted, very much so, by Chicago. If I were to take Chicago, though, it would be more so, I think, the first period. It's probably what I would look at more than anything else, because, that first period, you'd expect them to be coming out strong for the first period of your first home game. Connor Bedard's first home game in a Blackhawks jersey here at the United Center. But I just don't know if I can bring myself to do it against this Vegas team. They have been that good, that strong. There have been no let up in this team in their first 5 games, 5-0. How about the total in this game? 6. These 2 teams are a combined 9-1 to the under this year. How about that? Chicago's gone 5-0 to the under. Vegas is 4-1 to the under. So you're talking about 9-1 to the under in the games combined this season between the Golden Knights and the Blackhawks. We'll see if that continues here tonight. Goaltending, we don't have confirmations as of yet in this game. Projections of Hill for Vegas and Arvid Soderblom here for Chicago tonight. So we'll see if that is indeed the case, but nothing confirmed yet. Alex, what do you think here? Golden Knights, Blackhawks.
Yeah, pretty sure Soderblom was confirmed by Ben Pope of the Tribune. So I did see that earlier this morning.
Okay,
But
good.
yeah, but I'm not sure who's in net for Vegas. But it don't matter who's in net for Vegas. If you haven't seen the goalie charts, spoiler alert, Vegas is my top power rated team. But I also have for the maybe the third time that I've ever done it, certainly digitally. And I think one time long ago when I was doing it by hand, I have two goaltenders even. I have Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson completely even. There's no change in line or value as far as I'm concerned. That's a wonderful thing to have. That is basically as close to perfection as you can get within your goaltending group. That being said, yeah, I would have loved for this game to have taken place in a different time. Like I said, Vegas with this hot momentum, but I just would have loved it for it not to be the Hawks' home opener, which keep in mind, this will be their fifth opening night ceremony. And this is more than likely going to be their longest ceremony because, of course, they have to pay tribute to Rocky Rourke, who passed away in the offseason. Is going to be the big, everybody skates out on the ice, which I'm guessing will end with number 98, Connor Bedard, and a big ovation, of course, the great anthem. So it's going to be about 35 minutes. And they also have the red carpet event that's even like an hour and a half before that the players walk through. So it's a lot of festivities and a lot of shenanigans and a lot of things that a tired bunch, you wouldn't want them going through, right? After a 5-game road trip in 10 days, you'd want the team to, hey, get your bearings, get ready for the next game. But they got to do all these extracurriculars and all this fanfare before the puck is even dropped. I think that takes away even the little bit of value you could have gotten from the Hawks in the first period against a Knights team that's just rolling right now. And I said yesterday, this could either be a 3-2 overtime game or an 8-4 Vegas win. I think it might be more of the latter. I'm going to wait and play this live, actually. The only thing I like right now would be the first period over, but even with $1.35, we can wait a little bit and grab a better price on that. Same thing with the full game, 5.5. If I can grab that, I'll definitely go with that one. And I might even look at Arvid Soderblom under 27.5 saves in the event that he might possibly get pulled. So that's the kind of thinking I have with some of these bad goalies, and that's more of a Mrazek thing because as of right now, Soderblom's actually playing a little bit better than Mrazek. But and both goalies haven't been bad, as you mentioned. Hawks, all their games have gone under the total. The dam's going to break here one way or the other, but I feel like it's more than likely going to be Chicago coming off of that road trip just being completely deflated, and it wouldn't shock me to see an ugly one, which is unfortunate for the home opener. So may not be the most fun of events at 1901 West Madison tonight, but I think Vegas keeps on rolling here.
All right, like in Vegas, and that tells you all you need to know. Alex, no homer here with the Blackhawk opinions. He'll tell you exactly how he thinks it's going to go, win or lose, for the Chicago Blackhawks. And it'll be interesting to see how this team tries to generate offense, because one thing I noticed in that Colorado loss, and look, maybe home ice will help this a bit, but I'll tell you, the opponent ain't going to help this because Vegas is as good as it gets defensively, but they did not generate a whole lot. Like there was not a lot going on offensively as far as ozone time and offensive quality chances generated against Colorado the other night for Chicago. And it ain't going to get any easier now playing the Golden Knights tonight from that standpoint. So that's going to be the challenge. I mean, this is a really good test in the young career of Connor Bedard here. How is his skill set going to work against some of these real top tier teams that know how to defend you or can play defense? And we know he had a little bit of a tough time with it against Colorado. How about tonight against Vegas? Won't get any easier, that's for sure.
And keep an eye on Nick Foligno and Corey Perry. Wouldn't be shocked to see both those guys get in the fights tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And Vegas, they've got the multiple guys that are capable of it, throwing their dukes. So definitely keep an eye on that. Might be a physical game tonight. We'll see. The San Jose Nashville. We've got Nashville minus 250 to minus 260. Home favorites, 6 being the total here in this game. Look, the standard operating procedure for me has been fade San Jose at every opportunity. And you're not going to hear me say this very often when it comes to the Nashville Predators, but give me Nashville team total over 3.5. I'm not going to say that very often, but I am always interested in saying that against any team playing the San Jose Sharks. And to say what you will about Nashville, their offense is a little, suspect. They're going to have nights where they get shut down. But they did put up a very impressive 6 or 5 spot, I should say, or 4 spot rather, against the New York Rangers in a 4-1 win against them at Madison Square Garden. And this is a much worse defensive team. This should be an opportunity for Nashville to want to get to 4 goals. I also like Nashville in the first period puck line in this game. That's another thing that I've noticed here the last couple of games. Teams getting off to hot starts against this San Jose team. I cashed a puck line first period bet with Boston the other night against San Jose. So I'm on those two plays here, aside in total. First period puck line -0.5, plus 128 at Pinnacle for Nashville, and also their team total here, which is over 3.5 -116 right now at Pinnacle. It's just a San Jose team. They're just giving up way too much. Like even against a Boston Bruins team that really hasn't hit their stride, fired on all cylinders offensively this year, they still gave up well over 30 shots in that game. Go back to the well, too, with saves props involving the San Jose goalies. You know, the saves props involving San Jose goalies have been very, very good. I certainly like it looks like Mackenzie Blackwood is back in net tonight for the Sharks. Blackwood over saves, I think, is definitely a good look in this game. Philip Forsberg, 100% right. Someone in our chat, over shots on goal. We've talked about this repeatedly. This guy's just firing the puck from everywhere right now on the ice for the Nashville Predators. So I like that look quite a bit as far as Nashville goes. Forsberg over shots on goal. Forsberg probably gets a goal tonight. I could look at that. Novak has been good with points at home, especially. So Thomas Novak for Nashville. If you're going to take someone for San Jose, maybe keep an eye on Eklund. He's been solid. He's been and Zadina. Those are the two guys that have been noticeable for San Jose up front. So we'll see if that continues here in this game tonight against Nashville. So those are some prop looks for me. And then, like I said, Nashville first period puck line split with the team total for the Preds over 3.5 in this game. Alex, San Jose, Nashville.
This is a complete pass for me. I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, Nashville first period, home momentum against an awful team, but I just can't trust Nashville's offense. So won't watch it, won't play it, won't bet it, can't do it. It's passed.
I like it. Can't watch it. It's Mike Singletary there, right there a little bit. Yeah. Look, this is the one. Look, I was fearful of this game, trusting Nashville, but this is just, it's been the anti-San Jose bets have been good so far to me for the most part this year. And we're going to continue going down that pathway here tonight. And actually, if I'm Nashville, and I know they're coming off the big win against the Rangers, they played well. You think maybe flat spot at home against San Jose. You shouldn't be flat when you're playing at home for the first time since you laid an egg the last time you played at home against Edmonton when you lost to the Oilers 6-1. You should be fired up to play well tonight. You should be amped up to play a lot better on home ice than you did against Edmonton. All right, Carolina, Colorado, one of the better games of the night. Two teams that could very well be in the Stanley Cup final this year. Colorado -135, home favorites, -140 in some spots, 6 being the total here in this game. Carolina has got major, major issues on defense right now. I'm telling you, they have not looked the way the Hurricanes normally do in their own end. And it's a couple of games you'd think, okay, just the first couple of games of the season, they'll eventually figure it out. They'll get going. But then when it lasts into the last couple games as well, and then that Seattle game where the Kraken were due to score some goals finally, but to give up 7 goals in that game, it was a rough night for the blue line. Defenseman caught out of position. Forwards not doing a good enough job helping out their D. Antti Raanta was very porous in that game against Seattle. It was the whole gamut for Carolina, and they have given up to their opponent 3 goals in every game this year. They played 5 games, 3 allowed to Ottawa at home. And then on this road trip, they give up 5 to LA. They give up 6 to Anaheim, 3 to San Jose. And, when you're giving up 3 goals to San Jose, that's not great. And then, of course, the 7 that the Seattle Kraken scored against Carolina the other night. And every game's gone over the total. So I like Colorado team total over in this game. I'm until I see something different, I'm not going to bet what I haven't seen. And what I haven't seen is good defensive performances from a team that's usually very good defensively. Now, does Colorado bring it out in Carolina? A staunch defensive effort, the likes of which we know the Hurricanes are capable of, perhaps. But can't bet it until I see something like that. And right now we aren't seeing it from this defense of the Carolina Hurricanes, struggling in so many different areas. And the goaltending's a big piece. I mean, they've got those 2 old men there in net, Anderson and Raanta, and, they're at the tail end of their career. I'm going to flat out say it. You got 2 guys that are in their late 30s, a lot of tread on the tires. You can't always expect grade A goaltending from them every night. And that's something to keep in mind. Now, I am fascinated to see what Rod Brind'Amour does here with the goaltending, because last game, Freddie Anderson was unavailable. That's why Raanta got the start. day-to-day with an upper body injury. Ronta was bad. He got pulled. And Kochetkov, we finally saw Pyotr Kochetkov sighting to finish that game against Seattle. If Anderson's still not available due to injury, do we potentially see Kochetkov tonight instead of Ronta based on the way Ronta played the last game? So this is definitely one where you got to monitor who's in net for Carolina. That might change my stance a little bit on Colorado team total over, but I still certainly lean that way because they have just had a hell of a tough time defensively in their own end, which is, like I said, is just not what you are. It's not what you've become accustomed to from the Carolina Hurricanes. And that Colorado team total, by the way, over 3.5 plus 110. Same thing with the full game. I would split it up with the full game over, assuming Ronta is in net. If it's Kochetkov, I might reconsider. But again, they've got to play better in front of Kochetkov too, because this is not just all on the goaltending. This has been really, really tough to see how they've struggled in their own end. It's been, like I say, something that was very uncharacteristic of the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's definitely not something you want to see when you're facing a team that certainly got the potential to make you pay for defensive deficiencies like the Colorado Avalanche do. What do you think here, Alex, in a nice East-West showdown tonight, Canes, Avs?
I probably got to go, man, I don't know if I want to go Avs money line or Avs in regulation. That's what I'm torn between. And
we assumed Georgiev is in net. He started every game. There's no reason he wouldn't tonight.
Right. And that's the thing. Yeah, and that's the thing. You think against Carolina, a top team, they wouldn't roll out Prosvetov for this one. You thought they would have, used him last game.
Right.
So this is probably going to be a pass for now. And this more than likely be something that I add, and I'll tweet this out. Because it's going to be a side. I don't think I like anything as far as live in game. These prices aren't the problem. It's more of a lineup confirmation. So I'll just tweet out whatever I like here. Follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter, AX Smith Sports. And I'm leaning toward Colorado because they say Carolina's great run, in California, and then now they kind of maybe lose a little bit of steam, and also they got to figure out I think it's a little easier for them to juggle 3 goalies because it means one of the other 2 are banged up, if not 2 of them being banged up in Ronta and Anderson. So it's just a wait and see kind of a spot here for this.
And there's a chance no Aho again tonight for the Hurricanes. He's missed the last couple of games day-to-day. Svechnikov still not ready to go. Look who is starting to percolate again. Stefan Nason, 4 points in the last 2 games for the Carolina Hurricanes. I'd say if you like props here for Carolina, Natchez, Teravainen, Bunting, Nason, Jarvis, mix it up between those 5 players. They're the ones that are likely going to get it done for Carolina tonight. And then for Colorado, it's basically, what's a little scary about Colorado is that, they haven't gotten everybody involved yet offensively. Like McKinnon's been good. Rantanen's been good. Jonathan Drouin has really fit in nicely. They did finally get a goal from one of their depth forwards, Logan O'Connor, and Miles Wood the other night finally chipped in. So definitely looking at a situation where I think it's reasonable to assume that you're going to end up getting Colorado eventually to get their depth forwards going. We'll see if that continues tonight. But I like definitely McKinnon, Rantanen, and a little Drouin. Wait to see if these depth forwards continue to produce, but very interesting to see how Carolina plays defensively because it's not been a good start to the year for Carolina defensively. Like I say, Colorado team total over and the full game over split are my leans right now, but definitely hesitating on finalizing and locking those in until I see who's the lineups for both teams, especially the goaltending for both teams. That will play a part in it as well. We do have a new membership. I do want to point that out before I forget. No, it wasn't a new membership, but there were a couple new ones. But a $5 dono from our guy, P.O. Degen Stoner, for all the NHL insight. We appreciate it. $5 donation on this Saturday marathon show that we always bring you each and every Saturday when we have these huge cards. So we really do appreciate that. Thanks for the dono and the kind words. All right, Winnipeg and Edmonton. We've got Edmonton minus 170, home favorites. 6.5 being the total here in this game. Jay Woodcroft brought to F-bombs over the rage and the fury and the frustration and the anger he felt about his Oilers laying an egg. And that's what it was, man. It was laying an egg. It was a no-show. It was embarrassing for a team the caliber of the Edmonton Oilers to lose like that to the Philadelphia Flyers. Equally embarrassing for the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, to have 0 shots on goal in that game against the Flyers as well. That's definitely not something you want to see. You would think a response is in order here for the Edmonton Oilers, and it's clearly a team they're capable of beating because Winnipeg is no great shakes right now either. They had that tough loss to Calgary. They beat a Florida team that's got some question marks to begin the year, especially on the blue line with Noah Ekblad and Montour. And other than that, it's not looked good for Winnipeg. Losses to Calgary, to LA, to Vegas. It hasn't been a great start for the Jets. Offensively, it's been hit or miss. Defensively, there's some issues. The good teams they've played, they've struggled to keep the puck out of the net. Vegas lights them up. LA lights them up. Calgary lights them up. That's not what you want against an angry Edmonton team coming back home after shit in the bed and absolutely total no-show against Philadelphia. Anyone that watched that game could see it. It was just an absolute total no-show for this Edmonton Oilers team. You would think they'll be a lot better here tonight in this game against a Winnipeg team that certainly, again, have not had a great start to the year. And even Connor Hellebuck, the game he played, now it was not Connor Hellebuck the other night against Vegas, but it was a rough night for Laurent Brossoit against his old team. But the play in front of the goalies hasn't been great, albeit Connor Hellebuck the last time we saw. Is that Hot Take Hockey from there's someone that's Hot Take Hockey. Is that someone that does the channel? Great stuff. Welcome in. It does a great job with that channel. He's on YouTube even more than us, I think, but does a great job.
Yeah, I was watching him last night. Yeah. Yep. Good to see you in there.
John V. Exactly. Yeah. Great job with that channel as well. But yeah, I mean, getting back to this game, I'm going to trust Edmonton to respond. I really think so. I think they will. Maybe it's just not in them because we're seeing these really good teams, Alex, across the board. Teams are really supposed to be good. Boston's looked mediocre to start the year, even though they haven't lost. They've looked unimpressive in their wins. Toronto's been up and down. Supposed to be a good team. Edmonton's looked up and down. They're supposed to be a good team. LA started slow. They're supposed to be a good team. Carolina, look at the way they're playing. They haven't looked great. They're supposed to be a good team. Maybe we just need to back off and wait to see these teams look great before we back them. But I feel tonight I'm going to with Edmonton just because the Jets are there ripe for the picking right now. I don't like what I've seen from them in their own end. The goaltending, even from Hellebuck, hasn't been great. So for me here, it's going to be two bets specifically on the Oilers in this game. We're going to go with that puck line in the first period. Edmonton -0.5 plus 145 in the first period. Edmonton team total over 3.5 minus 130. We expect the Oilers to win. And what happens when they win? They usually score at least 4 goals. So I expect that from them tonight. Oilers team total over 3.5. And this of all nights to really not hammer. I don't want to say hammer. We don't hammer anything. We keep our bets reasonable. Nothing's a lock. Nothing's a sure thing. But if there's ever a night to bet Connor McDavid over shots on goal, it's tonight. Like 0 shots on goal for Connor the last game against Philadelphia. A complete and utter, that's about as bad a game as he will ever play in an Oilers jersey, or as invisible a game as he will ever have with Edmonton. You would expect he is going to definitely be looking to fire that puck tonight and make amends for that. So Oilers first period puck line plus 145, Edmonton team total over 3.5 as well. And we've talked about this too, the first period team total. You can get that at plus 190. Edmonton team total over 1.5 in the first period. I could see them putting 2 behind Winnipeg here in the opening period of this game. So those are all of interest to me in this one. Alex, how about you? Jets, Oilers.
Yeah, that means McDavid might have actually had 2 shots that just never showed up on the stat sheet if it was listed as 0. But that being said, this is a pass for me. Like I said, we got to wait and see before we crown Edmonton as being back, right? And even with Winnipeg, I would have been more comfortable even looking at these Edmonton sides, especially that first period puck line, had the Jets not gotten blown out in that last game. Hellebuck off of a loss, I feel like, especially a bad loss, is somebody that I would rather back than fade. Yep. So that's what got me a little worried about this one. So I'm staying away from this one on a big night. If this is a smaller card and a different situation for the Jets, I would totally agree with you on that Edmonton first period puck line. Still could easily cash for sure. This could be one of those 6-3 classic Edmonton routes. McDavid getting a couple of goals, Draisaitl getting on the board. But yeah, I'm staying out of this.
All right, nothing wrong with that on a huge card. That's the great thing. That is the good thing about a day like this, a day like we're going to have on Tuesday with our first live betcast with all 32 teams and 16 games taking place, so you can pick your spots. We'll see how this one goes. By the way, last year Edmonton against Winnipeg. They scored 4, 6, and 7, 4, 6, and 5 in 3 of the 4 meetings. So yeah, had no problem scoring on this Jets team last year. We'll see if that continues this season. The Vegas game, they were competitive. It was the LA game they got blown out. That is true about Hellebuck off a loss and a subpar game. He's usually better the next game. We'll see about that here tonight in this matchup here against the Edmonton Oilers. But unfortunately for Connor Hellebuck, your blue line hasn't played great, and you've got an Edmonton team that in theory should be absolutely pissed off about the way they played against the Philadelphia Flyers a couple of nights ago. All right, New York Rangers, Seattle, a couple props there as well. Jets, Iafallo's eating up for the Jets. Keep an eye on him. Might be worth a look. Gabe Vilardi, too, is looks like he's day-to-day. I don't expect him to be back. He had that injury against LA, his former team. He's on IR. He won't be back anytime soon. But Iafallo's been really chipping in for them of late. I would look in that regard as far as props go. Warren Fogle moved up to the second line, undervalued. I think he scored a goal a couple games ago for Edmonton. There's value there. I know McDavid, Draisaitl. This is a good night probably to go with the McDavid, Draisaitl specials, over 1.5 points. For both of them and a goal for both of them. They respond usually when, and Jay Woodcroft, that's about it. When Jay Woodcroft's dropping F-bombs there in the post-game press conference for a guy that's usually pretty mild-mannered, well-spoken, keeps things usually pretty calm even when they don't play well, it was a bad game when you're getting even Jay Woodcroft's feathers ruffled. So, definitely liking the Edmonton first period puck line split with the team total for them in this game. All right, Rangers and Kraken. New York Rangers minus 130, road favorites, 6 being the total here in this one. Seattle, mentioned it before the Carolina game. It's why I like their team total against the Hurricanes. I felt they were overdue to have an offensive breakout performance. Man, did they do that. 7 goals in the victory against Carolina the other night. You saw that they were starting to get more chances, and you kind of figured eventually the puck was going to go in for them. And I think when you look at it, we might be able to see more of that here from Seattle moving forward. I'm interested again in their team total here tonight. It's minus 135, around the same price as last game against Carolina, over 2.5. All they need is 3 goals. I prefer that with Seattle. I think they can build off that momentum. One thing that does concern me about taking Seattle money line here, even though I lean that way, and the only reason I just take the team total here is because the Rangers are off a brutal game against Nashville. Obviously, nobody was happy about it. It was just a dismal effort. You could tell they were just flat. And the Rangers have some of those efforts sometimes at home against mediocre competition. We've seen it many times before. We saw it against Columbus last weekend. They lost to the Jackets 5-3. They lose to the Predators 4-1. So obviously, you would expect now going on the road, starting a road trip. That's usually a bet on spot, especially when you're coming off a loss like the Rangers had. I just don't know how good the Rangers are right now, though. I mean, there's still a team that there's some concerns right now. They gave up 8 odd man rushes and 2 breakaways to Nashville. Horrendous in terms of defensive zone aptitude. So that is definitely something that you don't want to see. And what concerns me here is Nashville is getting behind you for 2 breakaways and multiple odd man rushes. Seattle's speed could certainly put that to the test against this Rangers team. So it's a tricky game. I think just based on the price, I don't know if the Rangers should be minus 130 road favorites. I know Seattle had a really tough start to the year, but they got that first win. They got their offense going. I like Seattle team total, though. I'm a little safer. I don't know about winning the game. I lean to them at the plus 110, but I'm just going to go with the team total over 2.5, minus 140. Think they can get to 3 goals. We saw it against Colorado that they were starting to really get that offensive, at least the chances and the zone time and the high danger opportunities were there. It didn't result in goals that night because Georgiev was great. It finally did against Carolina. And with the Rangers looking as loose as they did in a couple of these games, the Columbus game and, of course, the Nashville loss, I think Seattle's capable of getting the 3 goals I need to cash this team total over. And yes, one of our new members here, John Massey, of course, our good friend, now part of the family plan. We wouldn't have it any other way, John, that you'd be part of the family plan, of course, at some point. One of our truly great betcast participants over the years as well. You talk about someone that's always got good insight, good analysis, funny as hell in that dry wit kind of way. That's our guy, John Massey, and a frustrated Rangers fan, I'm sure. And even he's saying that I'm a little surprised that the Rangers, he doesn't understand this power rating for the Rangers. I kind of don't either. And I get it that the New York Rangers or the Seattle Kraken had a rough start, but Rangers are not exactly the team I think they've been the last couple of years. And the more I watch them, the more I'm thinking I'm right about that. What do you think here, Alex? Rangers Kraken?
Yeah, and I had them ranked as of the beginning of this year, fifth, sixth in the league. They're probably going to be out of my top 10 when I do my updates. The way that they're playing right now, and the concerning thing above all, the offense has been streaky over the years, right? Even with all that talent, there's Zibanejad and Panarin and Kreider and company, they've had their moments of just kind of falling off and not really being all there at times. But the goaltending, especially Igor Shesterkin, I'm just looking back at four stats. Okay, you got wins against Arizona, but then you get pulled against Nashville. You give up 5 against Columbus. Like you're not supposed to be doing that. You're a goaltender who's top 10 in the world. You're not supposed to be giving up 4 and 5 to the likes of Nashville. Nashville can hardly put pucks in their own net, it seems like. And you're giving up, getting pulled in that game, giving up 5 to a Columbus team that hasn't really found their bearings. That's cause for concern, certainly in Manhattan and beyond. Seattle. All the concern, I mean, it's still there, right? Like one win doesn't just remove how bad they played in the first few games, but they're got the right, momentum. They're at home. I think this is a good price here. I'm taking the shot with the dog here with Seattle.
Unbelievable. I can't believe what I've just seen. Jake Sanderson scores for Ottawa. Plus 750 cash is already unbelievable.
Wonderful. Wow. Wonderful. Can't even get off the air.
Unbelievable. What a shot, too. Absolute bomb. It was absolutely no chance for Husso. It was an unbelievable shot there. Perfect shot. 1-0 Ottawa now as we get our first goal late in the first period of that game between the Red Wings and the Senators. And that's plus 750, which at Caesars, which was where it was for Jake Sanderson. Unbelievable, man. Just absolutely outstanding. That's 2 Ottawa games in a row. We've cashed a plus 700 and a plus 750 goal scorer prop with Jake Sanderson. Keep riding it. He's got 3 goals in the last 4 games, and his ice time ain't going anywhere but up. They love this guy. DJ Smith loves him. He's playing great at both ends, and I'm not talking about offensively anymore. He's been good in his own end as well. Excellent, in fact, defending in his own end. He's been that complete defenseman here early in the season for Ottawa. He's been absolutely terrific. Again, that's back-to-back Ottawa games where we've had the Sanderson goal prop plus 700, plus 750 as far as that goal prop is concerned. So absolutely phenomenal. And like I say, the Ducks Coyotes, watch out. We've got another sniper on the blue line that might score in that game because I had a plus 700 on him the last game Arizona played, Sean Durzi. I'm telling you, I mean, he's shooting the puck a lot. That could be another big, hopefully a plus price winner there. That's another one that I've got my eye on as well. And I mentioned it earlier in the show for the Arizona Coyotes. But we really do appreciate it. Perlo Wisdom now in the membership category as well. We welcome aboard to the family plan, Perlo. We appreciate it very much. It's wow. We'll try to calm ourselves and get the show back on track here and refocused after that exhilarating moment with Jake Sanderson scoring once again for Ottawa and cashing a plus 700 or plus 750 in this game. It was ticket to score a goal. As far as props in this game, Rangers and Kraken props are very easy to figure out. When they produce offensively, it's usually Jared McCann, and it's Vince Dunn right now, man. Everything Vince Dunn, bet it. He is starting to heat up at a slow start first couple games, but Jake Sanderson is really starting to get his game going for the Vince Dunn's really starting to get his game going here for the Seattle Kraken in terms of producing offensively, which is something he did very well last year. And you can get Vince Dunn plus 650 at Caesars to get a goal, and he did score in the last game, plus 150 to get an assist. I'd put a little more money on the assist prop, though, honestly, with the assist prop for that game with Seattle, with Vince Dunn, because he's more of an assist guy. That being said, he did score the last game. So Vince Dunn props for Seattle, always worth a look. The Rangers, by the way, on their blue line, I do want to point out their power play quarterback is pretty good as well. Talking about Adam Fox, he scored against Nashville. He got their only goal. He has a point in every game so far, 2, 3, 4, 5 points in the 4 games, scored a goal in the last game for the New York Rangers. And I believe as Sam Rosen would say, it was a power play goal for Adam Fox in that game. He's another defenseman that's got an opportunity to cash some props. The power play for the Rangers has actually been okay to begin the year. So you could go the trifecta with Fox here. We talked about this strategy with Jake Sanderson for Ottawa, for Sean Durzi with Arizona, and some of these other defensemen quarterbacking the top power play unit. You could go with Adam Fox, goal prop plus 700, assist prop minus 125, and power play point prop at around plus 160 in this game. So definitely some, and there's, you know what, Gostisbehere, he is not someone I bet or someone I mentioned on this show, and he got the goal. He's quarterbacking the fucking number 1 power play on the blue line for Detroit. I'm telling you, this concept with the power play quarterbacks from the blue line, defensemen, quarterbacking the top power play unit, it's ridiculous right now how they're stepping up and scoring goals and getting assists, getting points, power play points. Really is remarkable. This is really something to pay attention to, folks. It really is. It's not with Sanderson. We already saw it. I mentioned it with Durzi. I'm talking about these 2 great defensemen in this game. Rangers Kraken, the quarterback, the power plays, Adam Fox and Vince Dunn. I mean, don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on this concept of looking for these player props, goal, assist, power play, point props involving these defensemen running the number 1 power play.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams. They were talking about this in the Carolina broadcast the other night, where there's a lot of teams that run 2 defensemen on the point in the power play, where we see a lot of teams want to be dynamic and put 5 forwards out there or 4 forwards and a defenseman. But now you're kind of seeing, because you're seeing just the higher level of skill amongst defensemen now. Think about all the top 10 defensemen in the league. They're not all just shut down, guys in their own zone. They all have offensive talent. They all have decent shots. They all have great vision and passing ability. So it makes sense that, the game is adapting. This is part of that adaptation of the game, and seeing defensemen being more involved and elevated in offensive roles and having more offensive skill. That's great for the game. Those are the things we like to see.
I've got a theory about it. Why is this happening? Why are all of a sudden these blue liners, all of a sudden, not that the blue line defensemen are always part of the power play, but I'm talking about producing points and scoring goals at this kind of clip. And I have a theory as to why that is. Everyone wants to copy what the team that just won the Stanley Cup. Everyone's trying to copy Vegas. What Vegas does is collapse to the front of the net. What Vegas does is they leave the points open. And what they do is when the puck funnels to the point, they'll actually go to the front of the net. The forward high defensively is going to pay attention to the slot. Defensemen go to the front of the net and they collapse and they just try to help the goalie out, and they'll try to block the puck from getting through. And all of a sudden the points are open for these defensemen to shoot, maybe more than ever, because Tampa Bay is trying to play that Vegas defensive system. Edmonton's trying to copy it a little bit. And as a result, defensemen now, when they get those open points, especially on the man advantage, they're shooting it a lot more. And I think that's opening up, opportunity for the blue liners and the defensemen to really cash in terms of goals, assists, points, and produce more, because of everyone's trying to copy the Vegas defensive structure. The thing is, Vegas is good in terms of really fronting the shots. Some of these teams are trying to play this way. They're not blocking those point shots as well, and they're getting through. And you've got these great defensemen that they don't pound it with a slapper anymore. They just wrist it. They just try to get it through all the traffic, get it through to the net. And those are the shots that are working, like Sanderson the other night. And even Sanderson's goal today was a bomb, but it was through traffic and he got it through. And it's tough to block a shot like that when it's got such velocity behind it. So I think that's the theory. Everyone's trying to protect the house like Vegas did, because they want a cup. We got to play defense like that. The points are open, and now the blue liners are taking advantage of it, especially on the power play.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, and concept and theory are one thing, but if you have, you have to have the personnel too. And most teams don't have a blue line that's as deep and talented as Vegas. So you have to kind of, like said, you can run that all you want, but at the same time, if you have more talented forwards, okay, fine. run your talented forwards on the point. And like I said, I think your point men should really be either your best puck handler and your hardest shooter, right? Like that should really be your guy running everything, quarterbacking it is your best puck handler. But your other guy staying back has to be your hardest shot. You don't want your hardest shot guy standing in front of the net. So I think if you just stay with that concept and then you adapt from there, then that should work for a lot of teams.
There we go. Unmute ourselves. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely that's an excellent point, and it's something to really keep. Look at Luke Hughes last night in the New York Islanders game. Another idea. There was an open. He was open. There was no one around him when he took that shot last night on the power play against the Islanders, and it was a bomb. Sorokin never saw it, and it's another perfect example that the points are being left open. And the way these teams are trying to play, mimic Vegas, is collapse everything to the net, and there's open point shots for a lot of these defensemen, especially on the power play, and a lot of them are taking advantage of it. All right, final game, Boston Bruins, Los Angeles Kings. We've got even money both sides, minus 110, 6 the total, shaded to the under here in this game. Is it okay for me to say that even though Boston's 3-0, I'm not impressed? Yeah. That's the way I kind of feel about Boston right now. And when you look at this schedule, and we're going to talk strength of schedule for sure here in this game. Chicago, Nashville, San Jose. That's not a great schedule. Your first three opponents, not at all. I mean, that was the best team you played, Nashville, and you only beat them 3-2 at home, and you got outshot 36-30 if you're the Bruins in that game. You beat Chicago 3-1. Chicago was on a back-to-back, too. It's another thing. They beat Chicago, and Chicago was on a back-to-back, so it was right at the beginning of the season. And then the San Jose game, I mean, it was – I know they had the 2 quick goals, but they really had nothing going before that against San Jose. The 2 quick goals at the end of the first period, and then pretty much sat on the lead, didn't really extend it. And, San Jose made a good push, and they got it close to making it 3-2 a couple of times in that game. So very, very disappointing, or it's been underwhelmed. Not disappointing. You're not going to apologize for winning, and they have won 3 in a row to start the year. But I just don't think they've looked overly impressive. This Boston Bruins team in their 3 victories so far this season. Now, LA is coming back off a 2-game road trip where they were victorious in both games. They beat Winnipeg and Minnesota. Very impressive performances from the Kings after 2 tough home losses to begin the season against the Hurricanes and Avalanche. And again, no shame in losing those games. Those are obviously very good teams at home. Tough start with that home schedule being that tough. And they are coming home off a road trip. That's never usually a good bet on spot. But it's still early in the season. It was only a 2-gamer. It's not like they've been on the road for a week or 2 weeks so far, this LA Kings team. And you can't dispute the 2 teams as far as schedule goes going into this game. I mean, if you're LA, you played Colorado, you played Carolina, you played Minnesota's at least a playoff team. They're not a great team, Minnesota, but at least they've been a playoff team the last few years. And Winnipeg's the one team that's a little weaker on their schedule. LA has been really playing a good, tough schedule. Boston's feasted on the weak so far this year, and even in some of these games, they haven't been overly impressive. Now, I don't love the spot for LA off the road trip, but I am going to grab a small bet on the Kings here, minus 110. And I know they're 0-2 at home, lost their 2 previous home games against the Canes and the Avs. That's pretty damn good competition. I'm going to rock with them here in this game against the now the Bruins have done well in LA. That's another reason why I'm keeping this a smaller bet. Bruins have won 5 straight here in LA, but I don't know if this Bruins team is nearly as good. The more I watch, the more I'm thinking they aren't nearly as good. And like I say, I just find that at this price, even money with LA at home, they played the tougher schedule. They've gotten their ship right at least a little bit with the last 2 wins. I'm going to take a shot here. Not the greatest spot for LA. Boston's played well in this building, but I'm going to take him anyway. LA Kings, minus 110. Alex, Bruins, Kings.
I'm hoping I can wind down my evening. I got a little bit of nice weed, a nice drink, some snacks. Bet this first period over 1.5, minus $1.20. We should see some goals here early. Like I said, LA coming back home off of a road trip and a successful into the road trip to that big win. Sometimes you kind of catch the team off guard. Except Boston hasn't played well. And I think they really realized it in the later part of that game against the Sharks. Yes, they got the 2 goals early in the first, But they coasted through the rest of that game, and I think they need to show some more urgency. And they've played well against LA historically, as you mentioned, 1-5 in a row. But 5 of the last 9 meetings have gone past regulation between these two teams. So I'm hoping this will be a long one this evening to wrap up the night. I'm going regulation draw plus 325 along with that first period over 1.5 at minus $1.20.
That first period over and the draw. All right, draw as well.
Draw and first period over, yeah.
All right, there you go. First period over and the draw for Alex with Bruins and Kings. Couple props here in this one with the Kings and the Bruins. I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois is feeling it right now. That revenge spot against his old team, the Winnipeg Jets, got him going because he's now scored 3 goals in the last 2 games. I wouldn't argue with Dubois props, goal and assist at all. Playing really well the last couple games for the LA Kings. No question about that. Trevor Moore, someone mentioned him in the chat. He's been excellent. 4 goals in the last 3 games, 5 points in the last 3 games. Go with the goal and assist prop for Trevor Moore right now. He is definitely in a good groove for the LA Kings. Even though I like LA a little bit in this game, you still got to look at a couple Bruins props, Marchand and Pasternak in particular, but especially our guy, as Don Cherry would say, James Van Beesbrook. Yeah, I'm talking about James Van Riemsdyk for the Boston. He's been great. I mean, 3 goals for him this season in the last 2 games against Nashville and San Jose. He's doing his thing. He's going to the front of the net, going to his office, which is where he scores a lot of his goals. And he's been a big part of the catalyst offensively for the Bruins so far this season. So, JVR, continues to be, someone undervalued and off to a really good start with his new team. You can find him to score a goal plus 295 tonight in some spots. So a really good price there on JVR to find the back of the net in this game. All right, there you go. That is the Saturday card. And look, we kept it not only under 2 hours, but with a few minutes to spare as well. So not bad for 15 games, but a shout out to everyone in the chat. 2 hours of wall-to-wall Saturday NHL betting analysis, every game on the board, sides, totals, player props. We covered it all. 206 live viewers. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that if you haven't done so already. And again, Ice Guys Family Plan, $9.99 US per month. Get on board. Our daily betting card, sides and totals, and the player props posted there. All the live looks and live wagers and the live betting strategy from Alex B. Smith posted there every day as well. We've got lots more bonus videos and content. We've got some Q&A ideas coming. We've got topical video content coming your way for the Ice Guys Family Plan YouTube channel subscribers. So much bonus content from the Ice Guys for our Family Plan subscribers. Again, just click the join button, $9.99 US per month. Check it out.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we got some really cool things coming our way, and something I'll be working on. I just mentioned it to Ian this morning. So we got a lot of stuff. This is definitely the time to sign up, and especially this weekend, because here we are. We're getting ready. Like I said, we got the Q&A. Those are already up. That's been up since yesterday. If you want to leave a question for me or Ian or both of us, if it's hockey related, gambling related, leave that there. If you're a Family Plan member, there's a prompt. I will make sure to kind of maybe reboost it tomorrow so it won't get lost in the shuffle of all the different other things that are posted. But we'll have questions. We'll be taking questions from you guys. The deadline for that would be Monday before we go on air. I'm guessing maybe 9 o'clock Eastern in the morning, so 8 Central. So get it in before early in the morning, and then by the time we're on the air at 3 Eastern, we'll read through them. We'll answer those questions. Anything we can't answer in that episode, we will do another Q&A segment down the road for Family Plan members exclusively. So that's one reason. The other reason is too, we do the podcast and the betcast on Tuesday, rather the live betcast for the big marathon of games. Those who are Family Plan members will have first priority in line to join onto the betcast. So it might get crowded, which it often did last year. I think we only had 12 people tops, maybe. So room will be limited. So if you're a Family Plan member, you get bumped ahead in line. It's like the old VIP treatment in the club. We open up the velvet rope and you get to come in first. So definitely want to sign up to the Family Plan.
Yeah, no doubt. So make sure you get on board with that. All right. Yes, I see it. It's everyone's favorite segment, bargain bin special of the night. And by the way, JVR, regarding him, yeah, he is still on the number one power play. Yes, JT is on the third line now, but he is still on the number one power play. So I still like the prop for him. Bargain bin special of the night. You know, it's funny. If the Ottawa game was later, I would have been tempted to use Sanderson again. And sure enough, he's already cashed for us in the first period. It's down to Dursey and Oliver Ekman-Larsson for my bargain bin special of the night. I like both. I think they are really live, both of them, to score. Ekman-Larsson scored against Toronto, facing his form. I'm going to go Ekman-Larsson here. Go really for the gusto here. Plus 800 at FanDuel. Oliver Ekman-Larsson to score a goal against his former team, the Vancouver Canucks. He did score against Florida. He's been shooting the puck more, a product of these power plays now, that when you shoot the puck more when you have the puck at the blue line, because the points are left open more than ever with a lot of these teams. And I think Ekman-Larsson, the angle makes sense. He wants to do damage tonight against the Vancouver Canucks, the team that bought him out and passed on him. So there you go. Let's go with Oliver Lawsome Tossum, as Don Cherry would say. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, plus 800 at FanDuel to score for my bargain bin special of the night. Honorable mention to Sean Dursey, though, for Arizona. I think his prop is a really good one, too, for the Arizona Coyotes. He's been a power play dynamo for them, and he's plus 5 or 650 at FanDuel. Sean Dursey to find the back of the net. But the bargain bin special of the night for me is Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Florida Panthers, plus 800 at FanDuel.
Yes, I got a bargain bin play, and it's funny. I don't even think you mentioned him when we even talked about this game, but Columbus and Minnesota. You mentioned about Sammy Walker being bumped down to the fourth line, but the corresponding move with that is Pat Maroon getting moved up to the second line, being played there on the wing. And I'm looking at his numbers. You can grab him to get a goal. Now, he doesn't score too often, but I think this is a great boost for him. Plus 700. The price I was able to get for him to score a goal tonight. And, he's one of those guys, big body, kind of get in the way, find the puck on his stick and bury it. I think this is a good spot for him. Like I said, the offense needs to get generated. That's at least what Everson said to the media, and I'm sure he's saying it to his group as well. Maroon's a veteran guy who can step up and deliver a goal in a clutch moment. I think he does that tonight. So I'm going to go Pat Maroon plus 700. My bargain bin special tonight.
All right, there you go. Patrick Maroon for the bargain bin special tonight for the Minnesota Wild. Again, that's a pretty good price for the big rig, as he is called, Patrick Maroon. And you can find him tonight plus 750 at Caesars, plus 550 at MGM, DraftKings, and FanDuel. But that 750 is the best you can find right now at Caesars for Patrick Maroon to find the back of the net. Great question, though, from Lawrence here, as far as it's worth answering here. The player props for me are all equal amounts. Even the long shots, like the big prices, like Dursey and Ekman-Larsson and Sanderson, guys like that, they're the same amounts because I want the payout. I want the payoff if those hit. But we're talking percentage of bankroll, 1% at most. And a lot of times it's 0.5% of the overall bankroll for me. Very, very small. And that's what it needs to be because they can be volatile as far as the results go. And you need to have a pretty thick, big bankroll to handle the volume of player props that I have. And even then, with the bigger bankroll, we're talking 0.5% to 1% per bet. That's it. That is it. And you got to keep it that way. But if you hit some of those big plus prices, you'll notice it. Trust me. And the good news is we've had our fair share of those here so far. And yes, I do bet them all. Indeed.
I was gonna say I have a question. How long does it take for you to bet all your player props? Because I know it takes me forever to just put in the plays I have now with just a few player props. But you have player prop cards that are 3 times the size of probably most people's entire cards in a bunch of sports. How long does it take you on average?
It takes a while. But the thing is, I put the list together early, and I'm middle of the night. I'm betting this stuff, and so I don't have to do as much during the day. It's just you got to just put in the time, and that's why I don't sleep very much at night. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I subscribe to that theory. And a lot of times I'm, putting in bets and finalizing the card at 3-4 a.m., overnight, and that's the way it is, especially at this time of year when everything's going on. So there we go.
I get that. Most of my overnight plays are literally overnight too. So that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. It is time consuming. It's time consuming just to write up everything that I'm betting and then to actually place the bets. You're right. It's a lot of time spent. Trust me. So yeah, it gets wears you down after a while. You do it every day, but hey, we do it for the people, and I do
Yep.
it for myself as far as placing the bets because I do think the player props market is a market that you can capitalize on. If you do the work, and we have proven that so far. All right, best bets to wrap up this marathon Saturday show. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Let's go down the street here in St. Paul, Columbus, and Minnesota. We're going to go with that regulation draw. Anywhere between plus 370 and plus 390, you should be able to find that. 19 of the last 31 meetings between these two teams have gone past overtime and regulation, including 3 of the last 5 at XL Energy Center and 3 of the last 4 overall. So expect a close one to go past 60 with CBJ in the Wild. Regulation draw plus 390. That's my best bet for this Saturday.
All right, there you go. Columbus, Minnesota draw, and I got it as upwards of over plus 400. So make sure you shop around for it. Jackets Wild draw for Alex B. Smith with his best bet, and my best bet. I'm going to go to Winnipeg, Edmonton. Yeah, Hellebuck off a loss does concern me, but I'd be more concerned about Winnipeg facing this Edmonton team off the stink bomb they laid against Philadelphia. The defense hasn't been great, even in front of Hellebuck and Brossois so far, and Edmonton could make them pay for it big time. I mean, you just saw Winnipeg give up 5 goals at home to Vegas and LA in a pair of losses. Edmonton gets to 4 tonight. They come out firing. Edmonton Oilers, team total, over 3.5, minus 130. That is going to be my best bet here for this Saturday NHL card. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. Great point, John Massey. I do need someone to write this shit up for me. I'm getting tired of doing it myself every day, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we need interns.
Yeah, we do. That's the one thing. We need interns. We're going to have to look into that for sure. But the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. Now, note the programming this week. We have our noon show tomorrow on Sunday, as usual, noon Eastern. Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, which we're doing the Monday shows at 3 p.m. Eastern after my college football show for the first couple months. Tuesday, the show is our weekend start time, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, because we're doing the betcast, 6 p.m. Eastern Tuesday night. So we're starting the show earlier so we get through all the games. And then Wednesday to Friday, we're back to our normal weekday time at 2 p.m. Eastern. And again, the betcast, 6 p.m. Eastern, all 32 teams, 16 games. Make sure you join us for the betcast. DM either me or Alex to ask for the link and request a spot on the betcast. And we will make sure you have one for Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, with priority access, of course, to our family plan members and subscribers for that betcast on Tuesday night, which we are definitely looking forward to and excited about. All right, the Ice Guys, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys.